Hello, my friends. Welcome back to my channel if you're a repeat viewer. My name is Jessica. This is I Read to Relax, and I thought we would do a Let's Read Books Off My August TBR vlog. So I'm just going to read a couple of the books that I picked for my TBR for the month and let you guys know as the reading goes how I'm enjoying them. And it's just going to be as simple as that. I have already started one book, so I figured I would give you my first update right now. But I started reading The Wonderland Trials by Sarah Ella. And this is book one in the Curious Realities series. It's inspired by Alice's Adventures in Wonderland, but it's definitely got its own unique spin. I had thought it was going to be a longer series, but I looked it up online because it's been out for a while now. And it's just a duology. So I'm excited because that means if I like this one, I can read the second one and then I will be done with another series, which is great. But I think I had mentioned when I did my TBR video, I absolutely adore any books that are sort of twists on Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. It is literally one of my favorite classics of all time. It's one of my favorite stories from childhood. In terms of the book, I actually love the second book, Through the Looking Glass, more. I used to read that one over and over when I was growing up, but I do love the concept of Wonderland and like a wonderful but very dangerous place to go visit. That's always just been intriguing to me. So in this one, Alice is living in an alternate version of England. So she lives in Oxford, and you find out as the story goes on that it is a isolated country. They have pulled themselves away from like the rest of Europe, etc. And that, well, let me read you part of the synopsis first. So, solve the clues, face your fears, survive the trials. All Alice wants is to escape her normal life in Oxford and find the parents who abandoned her 10 years ago. But she gets more than she bargained for when her older sister Charlotte is arrested for having the infamous Wonder Gene, the key to unlocking the curious Wonderland reality. Soon she receives a rather cryptic invitation to play for Team Heart in this year's annual and often deadly Wonderland Trials. Now she has less than 24 hours to find her way into Wonderland, where nothing is impossible or as it seems. So in this alternate version of England, they had a scientist who discovered an actual like genetic mutation, the Wonder Gene. And in this world, really famous people like Winston Churchill and, you know, like famous inventors and politicians and artists all had this Wonder Gene. And what they've figured out is that it gives you just something more. So like quicker reflexes, better, you know, like ability to think through puzzles, etc. So that's why these people sort of became famous and excelled at what they did. But like any dystopian story, when it was discovered and proven, people freaked out and there were a lot of like repercussions to the discovery. So again, they basically tried to shut people with the Wonder Gene like away, and they tried to make them register so that it would be known to everyone that they have the gene. So there are people now living in this alternate England that have the Wonder Gene and are unregistered and are basically like criminals living amongst the people, hoping they're not found out. And then there's an underground group that live in Wonderland. They can access like this safe haven for the people with the Wonder Gene. And every year, like it says in the synopsis, they have this Wonderland trials where people with the Wonder Gene compete, and what they call wildflowers are people that become discovered in like the normie world that might have the Wonder Gene and get invited to participate in the Wonderland trials. I am now on page 89, so I'm on chapter 10, and 90 pages in, we've only just gotten that much information. I was surprised how much of this book I read before I really kind of got the idea of what was going on. But Alice has met several characters that you know and that she suspects are wonders, people with the Wonder Gene, and they're like, she's trying to earn money at this underground card game so that she can go and live on her own, because she doesn't like living with her older sister. Her older sister is very prim and proper and tries to do everything exactly the way that they should to, you know, hold their place in society. Everything has to be by the book. And Alice is, you know, a little bit rebellious. She's 16. And so she's been playing these illegal card games in order to make money. And her sister catches her out, and they have a big falling out, and then her sister disappears. And they proclaim in the newspaper that her sister has been taken because they've discovered that she has the Wonder Gene. So Alice now is like, what am I gonna do? But in the meantime, she's been given something that I'm just short of the spot where it's the actual invitation to the Wonderland trials. But we're already on the path to that, and it's in the synopsis, so it's not a spoiler. But I like this. It's quirky and it's interesting, and it's a dark urban take on Wonderland and, you know, all of that fantastic imagery from Lewis Carroll's books. But like I said, we're a quarter of the way into the book, and we haven't even technically gotten the invitation to the Wonderland trials yet. So it's both been great world building to give you the background, but also like a lot. So I'm waiting to see what like the next chunk brings. But I'm hoping to dive back into this one tonight, and I will give you guys an update hopefully after another 100 pages or so. I'd love to even get 200 pages and be 3/4 of the way in, but we'll see. So far, intrigued for sure. Hello, my friends. It is the following morning, and I did read another chunk of the Wonderland trials last night. I only read about 100 pages more. I wanted to read 200, but I got tired. That happens a lot lately. I am just semi-exhausted all the time, sadly. But we finally got to where our main character, Alice, has gotten her official invitation. She has actually figured out how to enter Wonderland, which is sort of like an alternate reality layered on top of ours. So there are landmarks and things that used to exist in our world that are gone, like Westminster Abbey burned down when there were riots and things, but when she goes into Wonderland, it still exists there. So that's really cool. And now she's officially been accepted onto the Heart team in the Wonderland trials. So we are literally at the point that I put the book down last night. We are like, she's gotten to essentially what is the Buckingham Palace, which is the team headquarters for the Heart team. and she's meeting her teammates, and we're finding out what the first trial is. And of course it's riddle based, which I love because, again, that's very reminiscent of the original Alice's Adventures in Wonderland. And I really, really am enjoying sort of how Sarah Ella, the author, has taken such integral pieces of the original stories and like morphed them into something new and modern feeling, while still feeling whimsical and crazy and Wonderland. So yeah, I'm at like the halfway mark in the book. I'm very glad that I mean, I obviously knew it was going to be part of a series anyway, but I know it's a duology because as much as some things have happened, I also feel like not enough has happened, and I'm gonna get to the end of this first book and be like, where's the rest of the story? Hello, my friends. I just finished another chunk in the Wonderland Trials. I love this naked hardcover, by the way. And we are in the midst of the second of 4 trials now. The first one was sort of a magical escape room challenge for the team, and this second one, they're just in the midst of finding out what's going on, but I'm too tired to finish tonight, so sadly I have this little chunk that I'll finish tomorrow. But I'm actually I still feel like I almost want this to be a 3-book trilogy instead of just the duology, because I feel like I'm getting so much from this book and also want so much more at the same time. So I'm gonna be really curious to see how book 2 wraps it up. But we have gotten a big reveal about Alice and her sister and Wonderland itself and the Wonder Gene, and so I'm very intrigued. I actually ordered myself a copy of book 2 because I like this enough. I know I'm gonna want to read the second one and figure out how things wrap up. But I just love the whimsy so much. I told you guys, I love anything Wonderland related, so I just want to live there some more, which is why I would love 3 books instead of 2, but I am very much enjoying this. I'm very glad I finally picked this one up, so I will update you guys again when I finally finish it. Hello, my friends. I just realized that I actually finished the Wonderland Trials a day or 2 ago and forgot to actually update you guys after I finished the book. So I liked this one. I wouldn't say it's a 5-star for me. I think it's closer to like a 4.5. I really enjoyed the Wonderland vibes, the whimsy of it. It has that dark twistiness to the whimsy that I really enjoy about like actual Wonderland tales. It's crazy, it's cool, but it's also like super dangerous, which is what I love about it. I thought this was a really, really interesting modern take on it. Like it's kind of got science involved along with the legends, and like you truly do not know throughout like who to trust. Our main character gets blindsided at the end by somebody making choices on her behalf that she does not agree with, and I have ordered, and I think I've got a package today with the sequel in it, so I will be reading the other half of this duology shortly. But yeah, I'm really glad I finally read it. And I think I will probably hang on to this one and add it to my collection at home because, like I said, I'm obsessed with all things Wonderland and I really liked this one. But that's also going to depend on if I enjoy the second one as much, so we will see. I am going to end up picking the next book off of my actual TBR and starting that one. But I did want to give you guys an update on this and let you know I will be reading book 2. So that's my update for now. Hello, my friends. So I took a look at my August TBR and I think I am going to start A Secret in the Garden by Janine O'Reilly next. This one really sounds like a gothic mystery romance. So I am excited to check it out and see what I think. It definitely is like a woman charged with dealing with a decrepit garden at a mysterious manor, and then you know, they may not be alone there. God, it's really giving me like Jane Eyre kind of vibes. I don't know. But yeah, I will give you guys an update after I've read a little chunk, and we'll see if it lives up to those vibes or if I'm just making things up. We'll find out. All right, bye. Okay, so you're getting your first update like immediately because I read the first sentence of this book and was like, ooh, okay. So chapter 1, Eliza. The first sentence says, needing to beg a murderer for a favor was hard enough without worrying about a lack of guardrails. Yeah, okay. Just had to share that. It's a heck of a way to start a book. So. Hello, my friends. I have a reading update for A Secret in the Garden by Janine O'Reilly. I am 200 or so pages in, so I'm literally halfway. I was reading last night and had trouble putting this one down. It's very compelling, very readable. I really like the tone. I do have a couple things that I am less in love with. I feel like the author has dropped quite a few very time-specific like cultural references, so like it's one of those books that, you know, that's gonna set it forever in the time that it came out. Sorry for all the jiggling there. But overall I really like it. It's also verging on dark romance, and I'm not a dark romance reader, so like there's moments when we're in the male main character's perspective and he's like enjoying how much he frightens our main character, but it's also sort of like balanced by how free she feels when she's with him and how much they sort of challenge each other. They really see like the past trauma of their family histories in each other, and so they open up to each other well. I really feel the emotional connection between the two characters. It definitely has a big mystery element to it. There's like a ghostly presence, and like I said before I started it, like it has a modern Jane Eyre kind of feel. Those are the vibes that I'm getting, and like I said, I'm really enjoying it. Yeah, I'm really caught up in it, and I can't wait to read the second half. I'm kind of hoping I'll finish it tonight, but we'll see how far I get. And then I'll give you guys my final thoughts, you know, either tomorrow or whenever I do finish it. But yeah, what a surprise that I pulled out of my bookshelves. I definitely remember reading this synopsis when I went to my local independent bookstore and being intrigued, but like kind of going, I want to support the bookstore, so I'm going to give it a shot, but I'm not sure how great it's going to be. And I am thoroughly enjoying this. So kudos to whoever picked this to be in stock at my local bookstore. But yeah. All right, I'll catch you guys soon. Hello, my friends. I am happy to report that I finished A Secret in the Garden by Janine O'Reilly. I looked up, and there's a second book coming out in this series, and I, for the life of me right now, can't think of what the series is called. But the second book is like a loosely inspired by Frankenstein, like retelling. So I really do think, like, the way that I was vibing with the Jane Eyre, Jesus, I can't talk, the Jane Eyre vibes here. I wonder, I'm gonna have to try to look up to see if this is supposed to be, like, based on that, or, like, the other one that it kind of made me think of, but I haven't actually read, so I don't know if I'm thinking correctly, but, like, Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I've heard that's sort of the same vibes, so I'm gonna have to check into that. But either way, I really, really, really enjoyed this one. I would say out of like a 5, I'd give it like a 4.5 or a 4.75. It wasn't quite a 5-star because, like I said, there were weird modern references that I like. It just kind of took me out of the atmosphere of the story, and like 10 years from now, I would know exactly when this book came out. And it verged into a slightly darker romance than I generally like, but I ended up liking it anyway. It does get spicy. It gets spicy at the end, graphically spicy. So if that's not your thing, this would not be the book for you. It does have some scenes that are graphic. But I don't mind that as long as it's not like the entirety of the book. And it really is just a couple of scenes towards the end of the book. So I still really enjoyed this one. So like I said, probably around a 4.75 for me. I've seen some mixed reviews for the next one, but I really like science fiction. I liked Frankenstein when I read it. And so I liked this author's writing in this book, so I think I might try the second one as well. But yeah, we knocked that off our August TBR. So now I just have to figure out what I'm reading next. And I don't know yet. I've got The Luminaries. I've got Kingdoms of Savannah. Sorry, I'm looking at my pile. I've got Raiders of the Lost Heart, which might be good because that one is like a adventure romance, and with it being August, it's one of the few months that I'm like, yeah, steamy romance is great. And then I've got Deal with the Devil. So yeah, I haven't decided yet what I'm going to dive into next, but I will let you guys know when I decide. Okay. Hello, my friends. I decided to start Raiders of the Lost Heart by Joe Segura. I read book 2 in this series already because I didn't realize it was part of a series. And I really, really enjoyed book 2, so I went back and purchased book 1 because I love a great, like, adventure romance. So these are about like archaeological teams going to find things in the jungle, and they have, romance. And I am not a huge regular contemporary romance reader, but this kind of romance I'll eat right up. So I just read a little chunk last night. It was the first 5 chapters, which was about 75 pages. But it's fun so far. These two, the main characters, have like a history. They went to grad school together. And they had started to have a little flirtation, and then she was going to get like a grant or a fellowship or something, and he basically swooped in and took it instead of her. So for years, like a decade, they have not spoken. She's hated his guts with a passion. And now he's leading a dig in Mexico, trying to find the remains of her ancestor, and they are stuck. And so he calls for her because she's basically the leading expert on what like the remains that they're trying to find, and they unwillingly basically need each other. So yeah, I'm excited because the tension is definitely there. Like I said, we're already in the jungle. And I'm assuming, because of the way the second book went, I'm assuming I'm gonna have a fun time with this one. So and August feels like the perfect time to read this type of book, so I'm very excited to continue this one later tonight. But that's my update for now. Bye. Hello, my friends. Good evening. I just finished Raiders of the Lost Heart by Joe Segura, and this is the third book off of my August TBR, so we're doing pretty good. This is going to be the last one in this video, so I'll give you this update and then sort of wrap things up. But this one was fun. It was fun. I think I mentioned already that I read the second book in this series, which I am blanking on the name right now. So this one's Raiders of the Lost Heart, and the next one is Temple of Swoon, I think. I love that they're like punny Indiana Jones romance titles ripoffs, which is great. But I really, really loved book 2 in this series. I loved the characters, loved the storyline, really connected to that one, which is why I wanted to go back and read this one, and I did really enjoy it. I definitely have found that these adventure style romances are the type of romance books that I like the best, unless it's like a paranormal romance of some kind. I love shifter romance, that kind of thing. But for straight up contemporary romance, I want some sort of like action adventure in with it. And this one, I just found I didn't really connect to the characters as much. And like, I liked the storyline. It was a second chance romance, so these two had a connection. They had flirty moments in their like grad school together, but they obviously missed their connection, and she thought that he undercut her in her career. He thought she just wasn't interested, and so they spent, you know, like a decade basically not together, and they come together on this dig. I really liked the archaeological focus. I really liked how smart our female main character was. I almost felt like she was too Lara Croft-esque, which I think might have been the problem. In the second book, I feel like the female main character was a little bit more relatable directly to me, because she wasn't quite as adventurous and confident and badass. So it felt more like I could put myself, I guess, in the story. But yeah, so well, like I said, the second book was a hard 5 for me, like perfect 5-star romance read. This is more like a 4.25. So still really good. Because I don't read a lot of them, like, I enjoyed it. But I probably will not be keeping this one in my permanent collection. I'm happy I read it. I probably will read, because I think there's a third book in the series now. I probably will read that one as well at some point. But not for a while. I think it's hard too, because I read recently Jacqueline Benson's Empire of Shadows. I'll put the cover up here. That book not that long ago, and it's set in the same jungle area, in like with the same ancient cultures. And it's historical adventure romance, and I think I just loved that so much, so much, that it sort of quashed my love for this one just a little bit. So, oh god, I can't wait to read the second book in that series. But anyway, I'm very glad I read this one. It's been sitting on my shelves for a while, so I'm glad I got to it. And like I said, that is 3 books off of my August TBR. So I think I'm gonna finish this vlog here. They were all really good. I've only read these 3 books to completion so far this month. But I've enjoyed all of them, and 2 of them were books that had been on my shelves for quite a while. So it felt really good to read them and be able to finally check them off sort of the mental list. And hopefully I can read a couple more books before the end of the month. Like I said, I'm just going to leave it there. Thanks for spending time with me. I appreciate it. Like my video. Let me know if you read any of these 3 books and if you enjoyed them or not. And then, yeah, subscribe if you haven't already. I'd love to see you guys in future videos. Okay, bye.